Hello everybody, I hope you guys enjoy this video. I've been bleeding everywhere, my hands are junk. I've been trying to get this thing rolling so I can go to off-road games, and I got a schedule that I try to stick by. And yeah, we finally, late last night, I got all the 4-link on it, and this morning I'm gonna get the tires and wheels on it. I'm waiting for some lug nuts, so hopefully we'll see you guys out at the off-road games. And
then he said I have to help him take the top off of that because it's going to be like 90 something degrees out there in Sand Hollow. So,
well,
and if you guys are out there,
I need
make
her
sure
to
you
help me take her top off.
No, oh, that's not true. But yeah, if you guys are out in Sand Hollow, make sure you hit us up. Maybe we can say hi. I do have a couple messages from a couple of you, so I'll try to get back to you, and we can maybe coordinate getting together because I don't really know where we're going to be, when we're going to be where, but yeah.
We'll be there though.
We'd love to
having
say hi.
fun, so be sure to say hi, and yeah, I hope you guys have as much fun as we're going to.
Thank you for all your subscriptions, your orders. My stuff has been kind of flying out the door, so I'm a little behind on some of those, but I'll get them out, and thanks for watching, guys.
Thank you. Sunday morning, bright and early. Peter and me getting ready to go to town.
Yes, sir.
We got a little buck over here today. So last night we got the front motor mounts in and everything, and normally I'd have the body off to build this lower cross member or have it where I can get to it, and I don't. It's on the table kind of in an awkward position because of the body. I can't get in there to build the cross member. So what I've done is I've suspended the back of the transmission. I've got it up off the table, and I'm gonna go ahead and raise the chassis up and slide it where it hangs off the back of the table, I think, where I can get underneath it and work on it. So we'll just have to see if that works out. Yeah, you can see what we've done. We just got it off the table where I can actually get to it to work on it. And Pete is up there welding away on some stuff, so go from there. Yeah, I'm down here just kind of eyeballing things, looking at stuff. This line right here is 2 inches below the frame. I took a straight edge like this and drew that because that's how far this is going to be, a 2-inch cross member, and that will be the top of it. So I'll have to come up with this dimension where it comes back in right here. And what I'm going to do to achieve that is I'm looking at where the side of this is, and that looks to be about 7 inches. Like if I drew a straight line from the front to clear the oil filter and everything with some clearance. And then on this side, we want it really tight on this side, which same thing. It's a little bit more than 7, but I'm gonna taper it out, and it's gonna be, the skid plate to be down here. So to have an angle on the side that looks like that. And what we're gonna have is a single drive shaft that comes off the transfer case with a long travel slip yoke on it. And that's how we used to do them all the time, and that's what we're gonna do. So it won't have a carrier bearing or nothing. It'll be clear back here on the transfer case. So I'm gonna start by making a bracket that hooks onto here and sticks out where I can weld a cross member. And then I'm gonna start with a 14-inch wide piece, and then it's gonna angle up into the frame. And I'll have a bushing on each side. I'll make a couple of ears, and that's what we're gonna do. Lots of tight spaces on here. I'm gonna go ahead and get this piece made real quick. Okay, here's my layout for the bracket. These would be the 2 mounting holes. I'm gonna punch them. These are gonna be brake lines right here. This will be a cut when I'm done braking it. I don't want to cut it before I break it because it always does a funny flare right here. So that'll get cut after I break it. Let's punch this and see if it fits. See if my measurements are somewhat correct. You just never know.
Sunday morning, and I decided on some yoga while Shannon and Peta are out there in the shop somewhere. Yep, there he is. I've got the video uploading, so I'm gonna finish my yoga, Pilates 100, and that's it.
That's a good sign. The bolts fit. Hey, we got it broke. Now we just gotta cut it. Now we'll get this up here. Cross member, pretend this is 2x2. The top of it will be right there on my line. That gives me about 5/8 clearance to the bottom of the T-case. And we're gonna put this on the back side and then we'll come out, and I changed my mind. We're gonna go ahead and make it like 19 or something like that because we want enough skid plate. We want the tubing out there to cover this transfer case as well. So these two cross members will be back here, and then it'll taper into the tranny with, so that the drive shaft will clear the skid plate along the side of the tranny, because the drive shaft's going to be real close to it. And look at my contortionist over here. He could start his own freak show. Hey, Pete just left, and we did a massive little cleanup before he left. We got the chassis off the table and moved it over here where it's easier to work on. Now that all the important stuff to measure is nailed down, the engine's nailed in there, and I'm working on the transmission mount right now. What I got going on over here is, let me show you. I'm drawing it on the bench, so I drew my frame rail, and don't forget my frame rails are tapered, so I went with the long side, and I went ahead and I knew where I needed to be. I'm 2 inches below the frame, so here's the bottom of the frame right here. This is the 4-inch frame. This is my 2-inch gap, and then my tube's down here. So what I'm doing is getting this laid out, because I'm gonna put the bushing in here somewhere that mounts out here, so I'll have to make that. And then there's gonna be another cross member behind it that I want coming in on the same angle. So I'm gonna make my pattern for that bushing mount off of this, so it's on an angle. And then when I make the next cross member, it's gonna be the same height, the same shape and everything, the one behind the transfer case. So this one will be right underneath the transfer case, and then there'll be one far enough back that you can pull the T-case. So let's get started on that. You can kind of see we got it off the table, and this is all the parts for the FJ. And hopefully before I get to leave this week, I'll have the axles under it and stuff. Donnie was supposed to make it up to do gears, but he had to do a real job, so we're just going to keep on trucking on it. He'll have to do the gear work underneath the car. Okay, here's what I started with. I went ahead and used my bushing with the sleeve in it to get this, because I wanted to be just the same size as the bushing. I'm a 1/4 inch off the frame to give me clearance for the weld. And you can see I'm on the angle of the cross member. So this is gonna come in, and once I get this cut out, I'll draw it on there, and I'll actually go to 1 3/4 inch tube, because that's what's gonna be welded in the end of the cross member. And then the angle of the frame will be adjusted in the brackets itself. So I'll have one that's maybe 3/16 to an 1/8 inch shallower than the other one, being the front one. Went ahead and cut all my brackets. You can see what it's gonna look like. This being the frame right here, and then it's gonna come down on an angle. And the reason I just came down on an angle is because behind here, you'll see I took and drew. It's gonna be an 1 3/4 tube that gets welded into this 2-inch quarter wall. And it's gonna come all the way across over here to this one. Same thing. And then the cross member behind it won't be bolted in, it will just be welded in. So this tube will continue and run right in here. So I have my pattern for both tubes, front and rear. That's why I'm doing this on the table. It just kind of makes things easy. I'm not laying under there trying to do a bunch of crap. It's nice off the table, I love it. Start by cutting the center one, which is 19 inches, and then I'll cut my angles on it. I got it over here loaded and ready to go. Took this little protractor or whatever it's called, made sure these angles were the same because I want the same cut so it's dead center. And then I put it on here. Now I'm gonna just take this over to the bandsaw, cut that, and then I'll cut the other side. Just like that. Okay, I got it all cut. My tubes. I don't know if you can see it, but I've beveled it. That way I get really good penetration. And everything is all ready to go. So I think I'm gonna quit for the day. It's noon, Sunday, day of rest. And Jess is up there telling me I'm gonna miss my window for my massage. I've been begging her to give me one for a while, and I get one today, so peace out, friends. Good morning, everybody. Monday morning here at the coop, and Jess and I have been up ordering parts and stuff. That's probably one of the hardest things about building something and trying to stay on schedule is knowing, all the stuff you need and have it sitting here waiting, ready to go and whatnot. And yeah, so she's been in there ordering parts. I'm gonna measure up the roof and stuff so I can have it broke, because the front of it I can't break it, it's too big for my brake. So I'll send that out down to Phil and them at SunWest Engineering and let them do that. Lots of dumb stuff in the dash. I'll measure up the dash and get that sent out. That way I'm not waiting on it because it's getting real close. I mean, we're gonna go to off-road games this week, and my goal is to try and get as far as I can, get this thing maybe close to rolling or whatnot. Brannick has, I measured up some links last week or whatever, and they're sending me some links and stuff. So once I get them, then I'll kind of mock everything up. That way I'm not missing on stuff. But today we're gonna go ahead and finish the cross member and stuff that I started. So we'll get the 2 transmission cross member and the one that goes behind the transfer case in there, and just continue on. So lots of stuff going on here. Where I left off yesterday, I got everything clamped down. That way it can't pull when I spot it. And I'll probably spot all 4 corners and everything, because you know how it is when you get a TIG and you just touch that thing, man, it just moves around. So I'm gonna get everything spotted up and welded and try it out. Okay, we got this welded up, everything except the ends. I didn't want to weld them yet. I want to double check everything, but I got some shouldered bolts, and I'm going to put this together just to try and get an idea if it fits or not. So let's see. Trying to hold this up here with one hand on my line. The back fits perfect, which is what I measured. Like a glove. The front, I haven't trimmed it because of the angle of the frame yet. So what I'll probably do is figure out how to hold this up here and spot it to my bracket on the right there. That way it holds it, and then I can flip this bolt around and pull the one side off and spot it and work it to fit it in. Since I know everything works good, I used to have a aluminum little bushing driver. I'm gonna make something real quick just to drive these out. Just a piece of 1/2 inch, that way it'll dowel in and I can throw it in my toolbox. So it's just so it'll go in and out of here easily, like that. And then I can just drive these bushings out without them being a problem. I'm gonna kind of show you some dumb stuff, how to work smarter, not harder. So we know that this is 2 inches below the frame, so I got that across there. So I put this nice flat aluminum, which you can see lines up with my line perfectly because that's how I drew it. And then watch what I do. Kind of dumb, but smart at the same time. Well, I would never claim to be smart, but you know what I mean. That's how I do dumb things. Whoops, wrong side. Okay. So I'm up against my bracket on the transfer case. And then, if I can figure out how to get this on here. I should have grabbed the C-clamp instead. Oh, well, that's not good. All right, hang on while I go get a C-clamp. Okay, I'm back. So, we're going to take this off of here. Put that up against there. Try and tighten it. Now, I should be perfectly level. I can get that centered and measure it. And I feel like this was off just a little bit. I need to double check it. I think like a 1/16, so I need to pull it that way before I spot it.
I'm going to my office.
She's going to work.
I've
been working. No, I've been working.
No, I've been working. He's been down here playing and I don't know what.
I'm making things.
Oh.
Love ya. See you at lunchtime, babe. I got a conglomeration of stuff, but everything's centered up, so I'm gonna spot it real quick. I'll kind of show you what I was doing. So I measured off my frame to get the center of this, just to make sure, and it was like, it was about an 1/8 inch, not quite an 1/8. So, I mean, this is just barely got any tension on it. And I've got this spotted, and I've got the bracket spotted on the engine. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come over here to this side and pull this off right here, and then I'll trim this one to where it fits because of the angle. So basically I'll more than likely just have to sand it in, but that's how I got my everything straight. The back I measured, and then the front I'll trim. So hope that kind of gives you guys some ideas on how to do stuff. And then the next one, I've got the pattern for this on the bench. So from this point up to the frame, it'll just be a little bit longer. So once I get this all welded in, I'll put the transfer case on here, and then I'll figure out where I want the next cross member. And normally I'd put it back behind it where you can slide the transfer case back and then drop it out. You know what I mean? And just, you don't want to go too far where it's covering up like where the drive shaft would be and stuff. I want the yoke to stick past it, but I want to be able to drop it down with ease and then still have a little skid plate coverage. That I've got that off. If you look at this, it's about the distance of that line that I have on there. That's how much we're going to be taking off. So we'll start with that and hope that we're good. Okay, we got all spotted up and spotted in. So I'm gonna pull that cross member out and I'll weld it on the bench, or at least this part of it. And hopefully it doesn't curl it up at all so it fits still, but it should be fine. I'll just go slow at it and then we'll make that next cross member. And notice how free the bolts come out because everything's relaxed, at least until I weld it. I don't think it'll pull it. It's quarter wall. And the little tab on here is 3/16, so I feel like it's going to be just fine. And then I also have my shims that were in here. So when I go to put it back, it's going to slide right in. All right, we got the cross member all welded up. And the frame, that's cooling off. As soon as that cools off, we'll put that in and get it straps out of the way. And then what I've got going on is I've gone in and measured back what I want. And I'm gonna be this much wider. That's how much taper's in the frame. It's 13/16 per side. So I've just moved these out. And now I'll redraw, because I want this to be straight, the skid plate. That's gonna cover up the transfer case plenty good. And then what we're going to do is make this come out to this point, which you can see it's not going to be very much. It is going to be a little bit different angle, but the skid plate does not, there it is right there. It's not even going to be visible really from underneath, but my skid plate's only coming to here, and then it'll have a taper on it or whatever. All right, scratch what I just said. I'm gonna make it the same angle, and I'm just gonna make it longer. So it's gonna come further up into the middle of the frame instead of being right on the bottom of the frame, which is gonna be perfect actually. Then I got the same angles on this. So there you go. I kind of feel like we're moving slow today, but you can see what I got. This is the back one, and it lines up where I've widened this up 13/16. So I'll bevel this, I'll sand it. I got all my seams facing the correct way. So we'll see how it fits after I get it welded up. I'll sand the front in. It looks like we were probably taking an 1/8 inch off. So I'll just do that on the big 20-inch disc right there until it fits like a glove, and then we'll weld her up. Okay, second cross member. You can see it's a little bit higher in the frame because it's wider and then it comes up, but not enough to worry about. The angles are perfect when you look down it, and the bottom's perfect. And this is my little trick for, you know, we're 2 inches off the frame. That was one of the reasons for using this and making it 2 inches. That way I got a nice flat square piece, you know what I mean? And it also worked out actually pretty good. I got a 1/2 inch of clearance between the cross mirror and the transfer case when I put it in, so it just helps square things up, make everything perfect. So now I'll get this welded in here, and then I think we'll stab that transfer case on. All right, getting the springs on here, getting everything, that way it's just off my shelf over there, and I'm gonna get the front end under it, get the transfer case in it. I'm not sure I wanna tackle that thing by myself. My shoulder's kind of messed up, but if no one rolls up, I might have to. Don't you just love it when you get lucky? Look at this clearance. It's pretty sweet. And not to mention, I almost did myself in good. Look at the clearance right there. I mean, I measured to the outside of it, but I forgot about this angle right here, so rather be lucky than good's what my dad always said. So I'm just a lucky guy. Everything's laying out pretty sweet. I am stoked. The only thing that looks tight is that hole right there where the exhaust comes through. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna do there for sure yet, but we will look at that some more. But everything is looking pretty sweet. Mine's back to going 100 miles an hour. I'm just kind of like a squirrel because I'm seeing things that are, you know what I mean, that I just was like, oh, glad that's there. Didn't think about that. You know, it's hard to think about everything, especially when you got 100 things on your mind. But I'll probably do what I usually do. I'll come out of here and come up over the transmission with the exhaust like I did on the Scrambler. And then actually Brian's last build, I did that same thing, and we'll end up putting header shield on it. And on this one, I'll put the heat dynamat underneath. I'll make a sandwich plate that bolts into the tunnel. That way it doesn't transfer any heat. I should have done it on mine, and I'm gonna have to go back in and do it just to take out a little bit more of the heat. But it's not bad at all. It's just one of them things that you feel it in the summer. So I'm going to probably hang the front axle in here. I was looking at, you know, how I'm going to go about getting this front piece in here, and what I'll probably do is take like that 2x2 and clamp it to both them skid plates and run it forward, and then I'll build this front little hanger off of these motor mounts. And usually what I do on that is just 1/2 inch by 2 inch flat strap, and I'll just make a little deal that goes across and put a corner gusset in it. And what that does is allows me to get the oil pan off, you know, with this cross member here. You just drop the skid plate, and it's plenty strong. It's kind of how we've done a bunch of them. Junkyard Jeep, my dad, pretty much all the stuff I've built except for race cars, they've got tubing all the way, just because we're smashing the hell out of them in the rocks. But this thing will be good for even rock crawling, mall chaser, whatever the hell you want to call it. But everything's laying out pretty awesome. The radiator, I haven't showed you guys that yet, but I'm waiting for a channel that I had broke to get here, and then it'll weld in across, and the radiator is going to fit lovely. It's a 28 by 19 radiator. The center of it is right here, and I still have plenty of clearance. I could move it back because we are going to put AC on it, and then it also gives me room to get by it with the AC lines and all the condenser lines and stuff. On the Scrambler, it got pretty tight because I put a 32 inch radiator in it, and it was pretty crammed up. So lots of little things going on in my head. I was also looking at the gas cap. I'm gonna cut this out of here because one, it's not gonna work, and the fuel tank's gonna be in the back. So I wanna reuse it. I like the look of it, and I think it's gonna look cool. What I'm gonna do, because our lights are gonna be in the bumper, Eddie's got the design done. I can't wait for you guys to see that, and I get the bumper cut and everything, because it's gonna look pretty sick. It's gonna be the 3 S2 Baja Designs lights stood up vertically in the bumper, and then a billet little bezel, and in the front there's a squadron that's gonna go in the bumper, just so it's flush and it's not sticking. You know, I didn't want off-road lights sticking up. I want it to be clean. But what I'm gonna do with that little filler is I'm gonna cut it in up right here where it goes into this corner, and then I'll probably cut through here and make a little angle pocket so it's open. Maybe even make it bolt in where you can get to the back side of it to hose clamp and all that stuff. But then it's gonna come right through here, and I'll cut a hole in the sheet metal right there, and then the fuel filler will drop into the tank, which is I'm gonna try and take up that whole space. And the reason I wanna do that is, you know, get it on the driver's side. I might even do it on the passenger side, because on the back of the car, the fuel pump will reach over from either side. I like it to be on the driver's side, but we're gonna probably run the exhaust down the driver's side, so it might be smarter to go ahead and move it over here. That way I don't have any hose clamps of fuel hoses or anything by the exhaust. The exhaust will be down this side where it's all open. Like I said, I'll cross over the tranny, so I think that's what we'll do. We'll probably put it on this side, and then like I said, you can still reach, if a pump was here, the hose will still reach to this side, and what the hell, it's on this side anyway. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring this front end in, and I think I'm gonna get the U-bolt plates made for it and get it on there. That way I can, I'm really anxious to see what the spring height is gonna look like, the ride height and stuff. So I'm gonna get this. Cleaned up the rear end, at least most of it. These ends are coming off. I got a bunch of stuff from Parts Mike that I got to put on there. But before I do that, what I want to do is I want to get my spring pads made and the U-bolts on it. That way I can kind of get that hooked up there, and then I'll tear all this stuff apart and rebuild it and put all the new stuff on it, and I'll clean up the rotors and everything. And let me show you what I have right here. Excuse me. These are my spring plates, and you can see this one is a little bit offset because on the Chevy you got one wide U-bolt on one side and one that's normal. So you can see a little bit of taper in here. I've used my tube stack to make this perfect. I went 3/4 off of the center of the hole. It gives me a little bit more than my washer. So I'm gonna cut these out and punch them, and then I can get that all nailed up and get to working on the front differential and all the outer stuff actually from Parts Mike. Okay. We got one cut out, so we'll sand it and cut this other one out real quick. Check that out. Now I just gotta punch them. And then Jess brought me this bag. She's like, I don't know what this is, but this is the rust stuff that you ordered me, and we're gonna be able to try it out. Look at, see that rotor right there? The picture that they had, they cleaned it off. If this doesn't work, I'm gonna shoot someone.
Supposedly, diesel is $467 up at the Maverick on Penrod.
Yeah, it was cheaper.
It was cheaper up there. I know Tio got it there like last week, and he said it was cheaper.
Yeah, then the Speedway, the Speedway was something, I can't remember what, but it was below 4. Don't go to Circle K though, it's like $5 something.
Yeah, everywhere, it's $5.20.
Can't wait to try it. All right, let's punch a 5/8 hole in here now. Like butter. Ugh. I'm gonna have to get some lube on here. I've got some stuff to put on there that'll help it release. Okay, let's see how it does. I also have a stripper for it. Oh yeah, that's not bad. Yeah, there's a little stripper that goes on here that strips it off, but when you're doing lighter metals, it's kind of indents it and screws it up, so I don't use it. Well, let's see what she looks like and see if my calculations are somewhat. Oh, look at that. Nice and tight. And when I make these, I make them where they're so tight you can't get them out, LOL. No, I make the distance here the same as the spring. That way the springs can't fan out and stuff. So that's kind of critical for me. Be eating my candy. She's like, don't video me, I'm chewing food. And she got into my candy. She's leaving me, guys. Going to the other house. I gotta stay here and work. I'm like one of them little elves that never get to quit. Because she's a slave driver. Making me, you are. You're like, get to work.
You're a little elf.
Yeah.
Picturing you as a little elf.
Santa would love me on his team, that little elf that never quits. I need some elf juice though. I love you, bye. Oh, now she wants to kiss me. Oh. Drive safe. I'll see you tomorrow. So one thing I will do is take a 5/8 reamer and just open that up just so it does go in. That punch is really tight, so this will make it where the U-bolt to slide in and out without becoming a problem. Get that for it. Yes, now let's see how easy she goes. Oh yeah, much better. Still a little tight, but it's gonna be good, folks. I think. Well, I almost forgot something. I almost forgot to punch the center hole for the spring. I went to put it on and I was like, whoops. I put a smaller die on here. This is a 9/16. That should work pretty good. There we go. Now, let's go over here and we'll see how it fits. Put it on here. Look at that. Like a glove. Now let's make sure everything else fits. Check that out. Nothing I hate more than this much bolts sticking up out of there, so I like to make them perfect. She fits like a glove, nice and tight. Get the other side on and we'll do some other stuff.
Well, Shannon and I were talking about whether or not diesel was really going to be 467 over here at this Maverick, and it is. This station is packed. So yeah, 467. I can't see what the unleaded price is, but you can hardly get in the station over here. It's so busy. Just waiting for this guy to get done filling, I'm guessing, a transfer tank in front of me. Unfortunately, this is the only diesel pump over here. This poor guy's been waiting back behind this car. Some rude person parked at a diesel pump. I don't think they have diesel. They're not even at their damn car.
Okay, I just had someone adjust his homemade enchiladas and I'm full and ready to go back to work. So next I'm gonna pull this all apart, get these knuckles off, get all this stuff off, finish cleaning this up, go ahead and pull the axles and everything, and I will make it roll again until Donnie gets up here to do the gears, but I wanna get all this crap off and then I can get the rear, hopefully get the rear floor linked before I have to go to off-road games. Okay, just so you know, this stuff on the internet is a gimmick. It does not remove nothing. They showed it on some really crusty stuff, removing, must have been some AI stuff. So yeah, don't waste your money on this. I did, and I wish I wouldn't have. It was pretty expensive, and it's been sitting on here for 20 minutes and hasn't even touched it. LOL. This installation of all this stuff isn't going so smoothly by myself. It was a real bear putting them in because I don't have the proper tool, the ball joints or whatever, but I got one side done, and that and just cleaning things up. Everything's rusted and crusted, so I got this spindle cleaned up and we're just putting it together to make it roll right now. So no grease or nothing. It's getting there. Getting everything cleaned up. I got these all on there. These are from Parts Mike. He makes the knuckles and all the steering stuff. I got all the joints and everything from him. And then I'll have Brannick make an aluminum billet tie rod. Right now I'm cleaning up the brake crap. You can see what I got going on over here. Look at this mess. I'm losing my mind because it's dirty in here, but grinding the spot welds off this bent up sheet metal and then cleaning these up so that they look like this. I did this one already. And then I'll have it sandblasted and powder coated, but just trying to get it where it's not so nasty to work on. Just like that. Then I'll clean it up with my flat disc. I just use this to cut the spot welds out. Todd sent me these. Thank you, Todd. Well, happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody.
Yes, happy St.
Look at my wife making me a nice St. Patty's Day dinner.
Corned beef and cabbage, yeah.
Oh, I love it. You know what my favorite thing about St. Patrick's Day is?
What?
I get lucky.
Crying.
That onion's that bad, huh?
Yeah. Think about squeezing those shoulder blades together as you lift and squeeze. We're gonna get ready to.
Well, Mrs. C worked me out. Now she's cleaning after she made me a fine dinner.
I'm actually watering the plants.
Oh.
They're getting a bath.
Yeah, this isn't a shower here. This is more like an aquarium. For a while, we actually had a squirrel that lived in there. We caught a ground squirrel and it lived in there. Oh, I like your towels. Where'd you get them nice towels, huh?
Those are from Amazon. Courtesy of you.
I know. I ordered
I
them.
didn't do the Amazon shopping. Come on.
All right, I'm going to work, dear.
Yeah,
Love you. Last night was a late one. You see all these little wires? Well, they're from a wire brush that goes on a grinder that I got in a fight with. And then we're sticking in my belly and all over me. I had to clean this axle up because I should have just had it sandblasted. And all these were rusted so bad and I had to cut all the stuff off of them. This place was a disaster. It took me a while to clean it up. So, yeah, that was a horrible night. And that grinder, it bucked on me and got in my shirt and scraped up my belly and got my arm. Damn it. This morning, I'm gonna try and get this 14 bolt stuck under there. And I got some stuff that came yesterday in the mail. Looks like we got some hubs from Warren. And we got some links from Brannick. So that's gonna help me get this thing linked up. Check them out. Beautiful. Oh, what do we got over there?
What shirt do you want to wear? You have to have green on in the shop.
I like the one you got on. Give me that one. Yeah, whichever one you want.
This one looks like it might be too big on you. It is a large, but it looks awfully large.
Yeah. Well, that's the only green one I got, I guess. Yes, she knows how to make me smile.
You think you're feeling lucky?
Oh, I'm definitely feeling lucky. Pretty sweet. Brannick makes some nice links. And then we loaded them with FK rod ends. We're using 7/8 on this. I know you guys, a lot of you guys might think that's a little light duty, but when I built the Land Cruiser for my dad back in 2005, it had only 3/4 heim joints on it and 1.5 inches. This is 1.5 inches. These are 2 inch for the lower, so we did step that up, but because it's double shackle leaf spring and stuff, this thing's you know, it's kind of light duty, but I feel like this is still pretty stout. It's still stronger than that, and that thing still works. We got all of our misalignments from TMR. And then Rough Stuff sent us a diff cover that I ordered, and I didn't realize, thank goodness for someone that pays attention on YouTube, the differential, that's a light duty 14 bolt and the cover's different. So I'm trying to get a hold of them this morning to see if they have one for that, hopefully. And then we got the Warren locking hubs. Look at them things are pretty. I haven't seen them in a long time. Most everything we have doesn't have hubs on it anymore, but we got all that stuff cleaned up. I'm gonna go ahead and get some new rotors. These are a little bit crappy, so I need rotors and lug nuts still. And then we also have 2 ARBs to put in this thing. And a lot of people might think, put a Detroit, or why even put a locker in it, blah, blah. But ARB's nice because when it's not locked, it's like you don't even have one in there. And then there'll be a nice compressor in there so that he'll be able to air up tires and do other things. We got a nice brushless ARB compressor for it. So I'm gonna try and get that rear end up underneath the thing by myself. We'll see how that goes and start getting these links figured out. Yeah, and TMR did all misalignments and stuff. One of the things I did want to show you too is, some people don't know this, but when you see this little notch like this, that's left-hand threads, and then usually the right-hand threads are just bare. They don't have anything on it. So that's just kind of helps when you're going to load your heims and stuff, putting your FK rod ends in to know which end goes where. I got this up under here, but I gotta actually turn these pins over so that they'll fit correctly. And I'm gonna cut these back off. I'm gonna go ahead and mark them so I know exactly where to put them. But I think even someone said, why don't you leave them loose until you're done and just rotate it in with the links? But I wasn't very smart because I forgot about the angle of the spring being a little bit higher in the tail. So it's not sitting flat like I assumed it would be. But thanks whoever that was that said that and I didn't listen to. Couldn't help myself. I had to kind of stick a wheel up here just to see my cut, and it looks like I'm going to be opening this up some more, which won't look bad. I'll keep that same style and just come back, but I've kind of mocked up a link under here just to kind of see where I came out. I kind of thought where I would be, but I didn't know for sure. And I'll tie this upper mount into this cross member and everything. This kind of works out good because it's going to make it nice and strong. And a lot of people are wondering, you know, I've had people ask me, how come you're putting a turbo 350 in it and not like a 4L60 or something? But if you look at this drive shaft, it's not very long. When you're building a FJ40, you know, I stretched this thing too. I think I went 6 inches is what I got out of it. I moved the front 3 and the rear 3, and that was just, you know, rough guesstimate. I'm not, you know, I think I know where I'm at, but, and I ended up cutting the wheel well back and everything, but to get this to where it works properly and doesn't have no stupid angles, you know, that's why I chose a 350. So, you know, we're putting a tall ratio like a 373 in it, and then it's got a 3.8, so it's gonna wheel perfect. I think it's gonna be badass, and it'll have a nice speed on the highway being 373 with some 35s. I think everything's coming together good. There is one thing that, you know, I was like thinking yesterday, I'm lucky, you know, that cross member cleared that transfer case, but after kind of mocking it up with the single drive shaft, it's kind of high up here, and I was gonna look at my dad's and my brother's that we built years ago and see, you know, you get so used to clocking them transfer cases flat, but I almost feel like we angled them down a little bit to get the drive shaft away from the tranny pan, or not. It's not gonna really get it away from it. It's gonna lower it down where it's not as close and stuff. I know whatever it is, I'll make it work. If I have to cut that cross member to angle that transfer case down a little bit, I will, but at least the cross member's removable, so I can pull it out and work on it. Not everybody's perfect. I know you guys think I know what I'm doing, but I just kind of, like I said, I just keep going at it until I get it right. So sorry if you thought I was a genius. Enough messing around. I got to get the spring plates made for the rear and cut the U-bolts down and get them on there. That way that's kind of hanging up there. And then as soon as I get that done, I'll get that drive shaft. I'm gonna try and put a little preload in it without the shackles flopping back and forth, and then get it at my 5 degrees that I need. I know it's gonna change, but I'll be able to adjust it in with the links later. So let's see what we can do. All right, I got her laid out. Gotta love this machine, I'm telling you. So I'm shearing this, and then I'm gonna nip the corners off on here so I don't have to use so much of the bandsaw. The bandsaw cuts it nice, but it also takes a little bit longer. Good thing Jess isn't out here giving me the old white glove test. My shop is dirty. So you can see what I'm doing there. And then I'll sand it in. It just kind of save a little time sitting over there bandsawing. Just bandsaw and punch some holes. Okay, springs are hung in here. I'm gonna leave them just loose right now and start eyeballing this other situation, the upper link mounts, and then we'll go to the lower link mounts. Okay, let me show you how I'm going about this. I'm using a bolt to go through, and I got a mark, and I'm gonna draw a line, and then I'll get the perfect angle. And whatever I do on this side, I'm gonna match on this side. I know my frame was symmetrical and perfect on the table, so it should still be. Normally I would do all this stuff on the table, but we're not. We're gonna go ahead and do it out here. I used to build everything without a table, so as long as the chassis is square or as close as you can get it, you know. That's why there's adjustment in these links, but I'm pretty positive mine's gonna be perfect. And once I get a hole saw this, I'll put lines, I'll make them symmetrical on each side, and I'll put a tube through there. And this makes a nice strong mount because it's going through the frame. And then I'll have a tab that ties into the frame and welds in to this cross member and everything. So that'll be a quick, easy one. And then the lower one should be even easier. I got my layout figured out, and lucky for me, I picked these up last week. They did give me the wrong set. I was supposed to go up to 1 3/4 or something like that. That was what I was wanting, but at least I got 1 inch. That's what I need right now. So it's a nice little, I think it's a carbide tool bit, whatever. It's got spring-loaded deal. These cut pretty damn good. Okay, what I've done is I've drawn a line completely around the frame, measured my offset. I got that side done as well. And now what I'll do is I'll go through with this hole saw. Normally I would drill them at an angle, but I'm not going to. I'm gonna drill them straight and then just taking take my tapered reamer and angle it when I'm done. That way I can have a nice, perfect hole. I love it. That spring works perfect, spits the piece out. Now check that out. Sweet, nice and tight. And here's what it looks like out here. So that'll be welded in the frame. And then there'll be a double shear gusset that ties into this cross member and back here. So it is nice and strong. Let me know what you think. It's time for lunch. Jess heated me up some enchiladas that she made. Look at that. These are actually turkey enchiladas that, all right. I've drawn me a pattern. This is for the rear lower link bracket. And use my tube stack to get this lined up. So I'll make this one and then I'll trace it and make a bunch of them. Well, 3 more or whatever, but I'm keeping it as close to the axle as I can. And a lot of times when we're building stuff, when we're trying to get a lot of articulation, you know what I mean? We would take and make one ear longer than the other for the angle that it goes. But because this has leaf springs and it's not gonna articulate crazy like most things, and we're not trying to get all the crazy travel like you would a rock buggy or something like that. So these will just be mounted straight to the axle, which makes it very simple and quick. So I just measure out from the end, put them on there, and nail them on. Just make sure they're level and everything. So this should be pretty simple. Okay, this will be my start of my front link bracket. I got the rears spotted on there, just simple tabs. And then this one's gonna go right here. So I'm gonna make the inner one that welds along the frame. And then I'll spot it up there and get it all situated. And then I'll make a second one that just tapers into the top, and then I'll box it all in and everything. Real simple, nothing crazy. And then when I'm all done, we'll go back in and double shear that upper one.
Happy St. Patrick's Day. Actually, you guys are going to be getting this video the day after, but I have got my cabbage going in some bacon grease. Bacon is over there. And I started a roast early this morning, the corned beef with some potatoes and carrots. We have that every St. Patrick's Day, one of my favorites. And I love the leftovers for sandwiches the next day, pastrami, Reuben, whatever. But so yeah, that's going in here. We'll get a little peek of that later. And I'm gonna take some of my scraps outside, but first I'm gonna get my nice rolling cart put away, which I'm gonna require 2 hands for, but it sure is handy. Shannon built me this a while back. Cutting board with the trash can inside. You've probably seen it and used a few times here in the kitchen. But yeah, I'm gonna get that put away. Then I've got some scraps in here from the cabbage I'm gonna take outside and see what little critters might want those. And yeah, anyway, happy St. Patrick's Day, you guys. Thanks for watching.
Okay, I'm working on my outer bracket now that I have these all cut, and basically it's gonna look something like this. What I'm trying to do is get the profile of the brake, that way I can brake it without going back and forth over the car. So I don't know if you can kind of tell what I got going on, but this is below the frame, and then that bracket's gonna look like this, and then it's gonna come up and have a slight little break so I can weld along the top of the rail, and the inside bracket will be welded along the bottom of the rail. So once I get it cut and broke, you'll see what I'm talking about. When you think you know what you're doing, you change your mind. So I'll go ahead and spot this up here, and I'm gonna try some different stuff, because what I was going to do was going to be out here and break in, which means it's gonna be pretty bulky out here. I want it to taper in, so I'm gonna look at it a little bit more and see what I can figure out. All right, I've made some pieces. I got my center line here, and I got my center line on here, and I'm gonna use this magnet to hold it. That way it's nice and flat with the frame and perfect. Then we're gonna spot it. And then we got another piece to put in there. So both in. Dang it, looks like it pulled on me just a little bit. Slide this down this way a little bit more. Okay. I should have spotted the little end first. Alright. So we got that now. And then I got a cross member that I gotta get up in here. All right, I made most of these pieces on the bench, just drawing stuff, and kind of showed you some of it. So I'm gonna put my bolt, then I got my shim, and then this is just my mock-up heim, and then another shim, and then this piece here, this is the one I was measuring to try and get the break perfect. So hopefully it's perfect. Okay. It looks pretty good. And then I cut a piece for the front here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to spot weld this stuff in. I'm going to spot it all to this piece. And this is just, you know, some support and feeler plates and stuff like that. But my goal is to put it in right here and then take it over to the bench. That way I don't have to try and weld this stuff. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to MIG weld this piece, and then when PETA comes up, he's going to TIG it in. I'll have it all finished and everything and make it where he can just TIG it. So that's my plan with this one. If I can get it, if I can get it situated here. Oh, there we go. Okay, so we got that one. Like I said, these are just filler plates, so when I pull it off, I'll finish it all, sand it where it looks like one piece, and then he'll have it all TIG welded. And then I've got another triangle piece. Let me come around the back here so you can see what's going on. So this is the back side. Hopefully this fits. These ones I kind of tried to lay up on the bench, just mocking them up, but you know how it gets sometimes. Yeah, that's actually going to be pretty good. So I got a nice little V to weld there. I think this is going to be pretty stout. And then when I pull this off, then I'll go ahead and I'll weld all this stuff underneath where you won't even see it. And then, like I said, when he comes back, he'll TIG weld it. And then I've got one more piece if I can find it. Oh, here it is. So this piece goes right underneath here. And I've got my shims in there and everything so that this comes apart nicely. And then there's going to be a little bit of a tack and whack on the bottom here. I need to actually, to make this perfect, I need to sand it off a little bit. So you're going to have to bear with me while you know what? I just need to sand this one side. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back and better than ever. Let's see here now. Dang it. Don't tell me I need a little bit more. That's actually gonna work. Yeah, maybe not. A little bit more. All right, can you say third time's a charm? That's just the coupe way, if you know what I mean. All right. So now I'll bust this off of here. Oh boy. Don't tell me my spot weld. I missed and stuck it. Yes, I did. Oh, because I spotted it where I shouldn't have. But we'll be good. All right. So let's take this to the bench and weld it. We'll be done. All right, this is it, all finished up. Except for Pete's got to weld it. And I got to weld this gap right here. I'm gonna MIG it and then sand it off so it matches the rest of it. So hang on while I get her done. Well, it's 9 o'clock and I'm still going at it. I'm trying to get these rear uppers double sheared, and I'm making a bracket so that I can make sure that they're the same angle going through the frame. I'll show you here in a second. I keep cutting myself though, damn it. I don't know what to do. I need some new skin. Here's what I did. I got this side spotted in, and it's very critical to have them on the same angle. So I made this piece that fits on this one when the heim joint's in it, and it fits perfect. So I made it where it's perfect, so that's how I'm gonna get this one spotted at the right angle. So I gotta hold it right there, and then I got a line on it, and I need to put some glue on it. And this is how I'm holding it, LOL. My tool. You gotta be very creative when you're working alone, because you don't have someone to hold stuff for you. So you just find every kind of junk you have laying around to do it. That's the only thing I hate about working alone. All right, I'd say she's got some glue on it. Now we'll get it welded in and make another plate. Wish me luck. I'm going to break it right here. Everything fits perfect. I hope I don't ruin it. What I was talking about, so it bends into this wall. Then I need to make a top cap with the little radius in it to weld up here. I'll just do like we did the other bracket. I'll weld it on outside, and then I'll probably do a triangle piece that comes into the corner like that. So let's go ahead and make some pieces. So there's that piece. That'll get welded on there. Now I need to make a top piece. Well, here's what I got. And it's broke down right there. That'll get welded. And then on this side, it's like that. So I'm gonna spot that, take it out there and weld on the bench, and then I'll put it back on there and spot it for Peter to weld. I feel like I'm right back where I was last night. It's almost 11. But I got these done. I got to spot a man and clean up my mess. Hopefully I can make this thing roll tomorrow. Well, I'd make this thing roll tonight, but I forgot to get lug nuts for the axles. But check it out. Let me know what you think. It's just spotted in right now. And we got these all spotted in and done. Man, my back hurts from getting under this thing 200 times today. I'm ready for bed. Yep. I think it's gonna work out good. Can't wait to see it on the ground. Get it squared up and see where the springs are gonna be and whatnot. I just love how clean it is under here, like simple. That's the body right here, and then this is the step and the body slides in on it. And then I added this tube for link support and stuff. And then I'll actually put a little bitty corner gusset right here just so it pulls off the inside of the frame here. It's not going anywhere though. That's a lot of iron. So, yeah. Lots of work done today. I guess it's been a long day though. Well, I'm waiting on some lug nuts. And I am definitely gonna move this wheel well back. I'll probably come back to about here. So hopefully that works out. I think it's gonna look good. I love that it's not too wide, just a little bit. So it'll have a nice stance. It's gonna look pretty sweet. Got all these parts Mike's joints on here. So we're gonna go across from there to there. So I'm measuring these so that I can have Brannick machine some aluminum ones to match the lower, all the links and stuff. And then I'll get the steering box on here and measure to that one. So until I get the aluminum to put the steering and stuff together, I'm gonna cut this. This is the factory one that fit the factory knuckles, and it's about 2 inches too long, so I'm gonna cut it down and just weld it back together just to make it where I can steer that thing. Love it. The guys at AutoZone delivered, came through, brought me some lug nuts and some rotors and stuff, so hopefully we can get this thing on the road. All right, the moment I've been waiting for. She is on all fours, mostly just so I can get a look at it and then I'll take it back apart, but I really love the stance of this thing. I sure hope he loves it as much as I do. It makes me want to build another one. I just love it. These are just 35s and it sits nice. The rear needs to come up just a little bit, which I'll address that with something. I will, not sure. Maybe probably put a block because it's not going to matter because it's 4-linked. But the front sits absolutely perfect. She's a sweet ride, guys. Gonna be bitching.